name is Philip Jones, and I've been asked to talk a little bit about embouchure and maybe demonstrate some. So now that you know my name, let me tell you that I was for 17 years a professional trombonist in Nashville for RCA. I moved to New York City and spent 24 years there as a professional freelance trombonist doing session work, Broadway shows, local gigs, you name it, many other people. You can find more information about that on my website, which I will give you later. I want to tell you quickly about the equipment that I'm using in this video. This is a 500 bore XO trombone, 1632 John Fedchock model. The mouthpiece that I'm doing this on, as you'll see, is a little different looking. It is a custom mouthpiece that was based on a Bach 11C. Obviously a different exterior, and it has a much bigger throat in it. So what do we want to talk about making an embouchure? I think when we make an embouchure, the way we say the word mother, just the M before we actually say mother comes out, that M is pretty much our national embouchure. If you say, that's where my face hits for mother. And if I don't exaggerate, it's just there. That is exactly where I'm going to put my embouchure to play something on the horn. I'm going to get a nice seat on my upper lip, not too high, not too low, kind of where it's comfortable. And here, my face is saying, as in mother. I'm going to get a nice full breath, slow, large, deep, hot and wet, with maybe a little lift on the end of it, so I have support. And that's what I'm going to do, be actually all preparatory to using the embouchure to focus that music and sound through. So here's an example. This is the beginning of Rochu's Melodious Etude number 1, and I'm actually going to pull my music stand up a little so I can read this. And I'll turn a little bit more to the side so you can see that. Now that's all middle register, not particularly high and difficult. But you shouldn't be seeing a whole lot of motion in my embouchure. I'm not forcing it to stay still. I'm supporting that with my air and all, so it's staying fairly still. You may see a little bit of horn tilt as I go up or down. It's just what feels natural. Here's the very end of that Melodious Etude. Different key now, of course, but and I'm going to do this because it goes to a high A, so I'm just slightly out of the middle register. So you can see there's not a lot of variation in what's happening here in my face. Let me pull this around and do this kind of from the side so that you see it from the side. Okay, here we go. So that was parts of Rochu's Melodious Etude Number 1. They're great for control, they're great for breathing, they're great for phrasing, they're also great for practicing Where's My Face Go. So what's inside your embouchure that I referred to? Well, we've got our teeth, we've got our tongue, we have our mouth cavity. Our embouchure is focusing the air that is coming through that area through the lips, our embouchure. Although I would say mouth cavity and all that sort of stuff is kind of part of it, it's not like the main focus. The embouchure we're really talking about is what you see here on the outside. You don't ever want smile. I had one teacher who tried to ruin my playing in college by telling me I had to force myself into a frown. And that's not right. You want anchored, but you want natural. One of the best teachers I ever had explained to me, I believe it's Mr. Remington's procedures about T, ta, and toe. The thought about that was, I want to found the middle register is ta. So I set my embouchure, I set the opening between my teeth, and where the tip of my tongue is, which shouldn't be on your teeth, it needs to be on the little ridges behind that somewhere, wherever it's comfortable. Ta, ta, ta. The idea with that aperture is that we want to get that as open but efficient as we can. So we don't want to try to play high notes with ooh, 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 because if we do, that's what it sounds like. Nor do you want to play low notes with she, because then they sound pitched and nasal. So we want to find that middle ground. As we go a little higher, the syllable that we're using shapes the inside of our mouth behind the embouchure, while the embouchure holds it together, and TTT tends to bring things up a little bit. Ta, ta, ta in the middle, toe, toe, toe on the bottom. So yes, the place of the tongue goes up and down a little bit, and the placement of the tip of your tongue inside the back of your mouth goes from the middle ground on ta, and it may come back a little bit on the ridge right up there inside your mouth on T, and it may come a little forward on toe. It shouldn't be getting to the back side of your teeth, and certainly not. So here's an example that I want to play that'll show you some more stuff coming out of essentially the middle register and going into the upper register. Something from Irby from the 21 trombones. And that's going to a high D on the top. I will do it again from the side. And of course, water in the horn, but I think we can survive with that. So you get an idea. That particularly small excerpt goes to high D. And I think you can see that as I'm going, it starts on high A, goes to high D. There's really no change, no visible change. There is a little changing going on the inside where you can't see, as I talked about T-ta-toe, and it's T-ta-ta-ta, a little bit, just a little bit. So let me tell you about the breathing that's involved with being able to keep your embouchure in place. We don't keep this in place by locking it down and getting stone-faced. We keep it in place by having all the rest of the support mechanism working properly so that the embouchure can be a focus. It can't be weak. It can't be like that. It's got to be strong. It's got to be, but not so tight nothing moves. Meat's got to stay fluid. As we go higher, we've all heard the analogy about how the string shortens, or in our case, the lips tighten up toward the center, but the very center always stays fluid. So how do we manage that? Well, the other thing that we have to do is breathe. I mentioned at the beginning. That's a big, solid, slow, deep, hot, warm breath. I'm not going to hold my shoulders down because you hear that forces throat. I'm just going to let gravity keep them there. I'm going to fill up down here as though I'm filling up from the bottom to the top. And when I get to I'm full, I'm not really full. I'm going to top it off like we do our gas tank by raising my head just a little bit. I will then use my nose. You can do it through your throat if you want. However, but it's full, and then the very end of the breath, again, it's slow rhythm topping. So, and then I just sit back down on it. You'll feel compression here, which another one of my teachers in Colorado used to refer to as you're feeling your chest floating on the air. And it does that because I've created this proper compression of air. Having gotten this breath, then my embouchure can continue to focus instead of having to try to tighten and pull to go someplace. And I get the ability to make this, we hope, pleasing sound, which another one of my instructors talked to me about the hot, warm breath. Like you're trying to fog your glasses, but you don't want to hear the H in there. So I consider it to be a good thing when I play. When I'm playing high notes, when I'm playing anything, if I'm getting a lot of liquid in the horn, even drops running out of the bell, I've got this nice hot warm breath. Having that then allows me to not have to strain with embouchure, but to have my embouchure controlled and, well, let's say controlled relaxation and focus. So I'm going to avoid all that in here. I'm going to play one more thing for you. Lovely Tommy Dorsey thing. Sentimental. We all know that. C sharp up to high C sharp. Many trombone players have problems with that. Again, from the side. And you can see there's not a whole lot of motion there. Well, that's not the extent of it. Let me start on the high C sharp. I'm actually playing those notes. That's not singing. Look at it from the side. Now, that's high notes. That's double C sharp, double D flat, if you will. And I can play that note at the beginning of the night, and I can play that note at the end of the night.